Welcome back to My Kitchen with Jake. I'm hanging out at the gorgeous Agricole farm stop here in downtown Chelsea, Michigan with my buddy, Shana Weddington.
Hey.
Shana is the manager here at Agricole farm stop. She helped me get through my licensing process in the kitchen space. So food safety has been to her core. She also helps manage all of the different food items that are here at Agricole farm stop.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how it works. I mean, of course I know, but
yeah.
Tell the people.
Yeah, so in order to become a vendor here at the farm stop, you need to be locally sourced, locally grown, or locally producing. And so here we have a lot of gorgeous produce. All of this comes from Michigan. Some of the best produce, I would say, is hyper local right here in the Chelsea area.
Definitely. Tantre Farms.
Tantre Farms, yeah.
Love
Jacob's
them.
Fresh Farm.
Jacob's is awesome
Garden
too.
Fort, just moved to Dexter. So we're really, really lucky to have such a boisterous, wonderful producing produce.
Yeah, if you're a chef or a local foodie, this is the spot for
Yeah.
something awesome. I mean, some of the things you can find, just look at those mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like
So
black Pearl King
mycoblossom.
oysters, the
Yeah.
chestnuts.
Yeah, mycoblossom, they're here in Chelsea.
Look at this big old sexy kohlrabi.
That's right.
That is incredible produce.
Yeah, Blue Stem Organic.
So our whole show is, our first priority is
Okay.
food safety first,
Okay.
Michigan community second,
Love that.
and local delicious food to follow.
Nice.
So with food safety being one of our high values, right?
Yeah.
What goes into keeping this kind of food safe?
Well, so temperature, right?
Yeah.
Time and temperature safety control is the number one thing. So we're always managing our temperatures. We're always making sure that dates are correct. So our rule of thumb with produce is folks come in and they already have their best buy on there. And if they don't, we like to put a week or less on it. But oftentimes, because it's locally sourced and fresh right when it is picked and then brought in, a bag of greens will last you 2 weeks. This kohlrabi will last you a couple of months. I mean, I've heard some pretty wild stories.
That's really awesome. And your flavors are going to be so much better.
So much better.
And you guys go as far, we're in Michigan, right? We just had that huge ice storm.
Yes.
You guys you have to have some sort of option when something like that happens, right? In order to keep the food safe? What do you do?
Well, so we have a generator. However, it's not quite hooked up yet.
She's on her way.
Ice, dry ice is the option that most producers had to fall back to.
Yeah.
We just kept it going. We were lucky enough to not lose power in the past week or so. Our freezer was kept going, our back stock was good, and we just kept coming in and checking our temps and making sure everything was safe and ready for business.
That instant generator system will be a huge relief for you as
Such
a manager.
a huge relief, yes.
Yeah, dancing around that kind of temperature stuff's absolutely crazy.
But things go wrong sometimes where like dairy is probably the one thing that is most sensitive, and so we're always keeping eyes on the dates for our dairy. All of our meat products and all of our plant-based protein all come with the dates marked by Julian date. So we're always keeping eyes.
What is Julian date? I'm not sure I've heard that.
Oh yeah, so the Julian date is a marker that is used primarily by meatpacking plants to mark the date that it was packed or the date that it's going to expire on.
Got ya.
And so instead of date, month, year, it gives you just get a day of the year, and that's
what you're based off.
That's what you're based off of.
How interesting for us as like wholesale food bakers, right? It's very different. We've got a week, boom, done.
Right.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And you guys have dry stock food. You've got
lots of
fresh
dry
meats,
goods.
ready to eat prepared foods.
We're not quite into the fresh meat yet. So occasionally a producer will call us and say, hey, I've got some fresh chicken or I've got some fresh ground beef. Can I put that in your cooler? And yes, we will absolutely make a spot on the very bottom shelf. So that's another consideration for safety. Anything that's raw and uncooked has to be at the bottom of the fridge.
Just like in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But in a grocery store.
Exactly. Same thing goes for the grocery store and display. Now, this prepared foods cooler is normally so much more glorious.
Very, She's been picked over, huh?
Well,
everybody without power, I bet, was really going to it.
So we've had several folks without power, and so it's been a struggle to keep it filled. Also, with folks out of power, what was here has been readily utilized and
I
eaten.
bet.
So
I bet they loved it.
Definitely come in handy.
And you guys have an immediate cafe area, so all of these pastries are out for sale.
Yes.
How long do you leave those out?
Just today.
Just for one day.
One day.
That's fresh. Love
Yeah.
that. And then you've got coffee. Is
Yes.
there any food safety techniques that you have to implement to serve coffee?
Same thing goes for coffee that goes for food. You have
Yeah.
to maintain your temperatures. You have to maintain your dates. So once I open a carton of milk, it only
Yeah.
gets 6 days from that time. Not that we ever keep milk that long.
Not here, no. The line goes out the door.
Yeah, we make tea fresh every day. Chai tea, herbal teas, black teas. So fresh matcha tea made to order with ceremonial grade matcha
That's
from Arbor
awesome.
Teas. And then Ruse Roast Coffee and Dawnbreaker Coffee are our two primary roasters that we utilize in the cafe.
So as we're walking through, I'm thinking about like restaurant, right? It's
Yes.
grocery store, but I'm used to
Yes.
restaurants.
Yeah.
How do you guys manage the flow of food? Because you'd have waste just as anybody else would.
Right.
So you have a big waste section. Do you guys try and
Yeah.
revitalize some of the earth with it?
So
Like back on farms?
actually, there's a lot of compost.
Is there?
Yes. So I would say that when produce is no longer fresh or is starting to look a little past its best by, two things happen. One, things that are still good enough for consumption can go to food gatherers.
Yeah.
And then anything else goes into our compost. Any spent coffee grounds, spent tea, all goes out to compost.
My blueberry bushes would love that.
Yeah, so you're welcome to pick up a compost bucket. We have
fun.
we have several farmers that pick it up.
Yeah.
My lovely husband picks it up for us.
Does he?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
And all of that will go right back into either flour production or herb production or
Nice.
whatever farm wants to pick it up back into their production.
That's really cool. And the whole time you're also having to manage pests, right? So I'm sure you guys have really had to put in a lot of standard operating procedures
Yes.
to avoid things like that. Because it's
Absolutely.
important for your guests and for wholesalers like me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Constant with you in food safety, I'm
Yeah.
sure, huh?
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing to go from buyer, farmer, and then right onto our shelves.
Yeah.
So sometimes things will come in and you have to kind of check and make sure there's no little worm in there.
Nothing fun.
Yeah, but sometimes we just have education. So in the ways that when you show up at the farmer's market, there might be a worm that's loving its tomato or what have you. Maybe the basil that's freshly picked still has like some roots on it potentially.
Yeah,
Maybe
they're just part of it.
Yeah, they're just part of it. I mean, we've had some experiences where there was a chrysalis on some flowers, and so we then kept it and like.
Did it hatch?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
We
fun.
released a little butterfly.
Well, and that's how you know that you're not ending up with dangerous pesticides.
Right.
I mean, I know that we catered your wedding. I know that you eat a lot like I do.
Right.
You're very concerned about ending up with additional items that you didn't really plan to have in your food.
Right.
And that, to me, that's really important.
Yeah.
And I know it is to you too. It's really awesome.
It
I think
is.
the work that you're doing here at Agricole is fascinating and
Yeah,
so important to our local community.
It's important to the community, but it's also really important for future food production. I think
Absolutely.
that's like the biggest takeaway here is when you learn about environmental safety, environmental science, and we talk about big ag versus small ag and how one can contribute to pesticide and contamination, also antibiotic resistant crops or pesticide resistant bugs, things like
That's a
that,
lot.
right? And then you have these smaller producers that are using more regenerative practices or farming. If they're not certified organic, they're oftentimes naturally farming or organic practicing. And so just making sure that they have an outlet and a way to continue to grow their operation.
Absolutely. Well, you've helped out my business so much in growing just through this kitchen space.
Yeah, that's
which
really
was like
great to
a
hear.
whole food safe hurdle all of its own.
Yeah.
Managing the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Development's structure it's very interesting, and having somebody like you and the people over at the MSU Extension Office to help navigate something like this is, I mean, it's crucial.
Yeah.
I was in the same spot that Grayson was in, studying ProStart and going to college and trying to build a career in it, and really the entrepreneurial route sometimes can be the best route. But without having a community like Agricole, it's really hard to manage that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it a lot. Thank you,
Good.
buddy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You were one of the originals, one of the OGs.
Yeah, the
and
OGs.
It's been cool to see how far you've come and what you've done with your business and the new places that you're taking it.
Yeah, we've really grown and expanded.
Yeah, just
well,
like-
thank you so much for having us in this space, and thank you so much for
course.
letting us use it for the recording.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to let us know about Agricole Farm Stop?
Well, just that we're here and we're putting back 75% of all sales right back into the farmers and artisans and the producers who make and grow and do everything that is here in the space. And so we're really grateful for the opportunity to be on today's show. And we look forward to seeing what comes next.
Well, thank you so much, Agricole. Thank you so much, Shana. And get down here, because this is the spot you want to be, right here in downtown Chelsea.